A significant outbreak of severe thunderstorms is unfolding today with the threat of significant tornadoes and gorilla hail. As you can see on the map, we have two bullseyes. This first enhanced risk right up here from Milwaukee, Detroit, Fort Wayne, Davenport, Mason City. These areas are in this. This is going to be where the main risk today is going to be. But as you can see, we have two more hot spots. New York, this is going to be a lower end threat, and another main hot spot down here in Oklahoma near Bartlesville, Tulsa, Altus, Wichita Falls, and obviously the OKC Metro. We're going to be looking at our tornado threat tonight. Tonight, it's looking like a 5% hatch risk, so SIG 1 here of the possibility of a significant tornado here. This is going to be where our main risk is going to be. We talked about this yesterday in yesterday's video. This is where the significant risk is going to be for down here. And it was the same yesterday, but this is going to be a more significant risk. So in my last video, I talked about how I didn't think there was going to be convection in Kansas, and there ended up being an EF2 that hit Ottawa, Kansas last night. So it really just goes to show that the model's suddenly picking up on that, and the models are picking up on multiple rounds of storms. That's the main thing here. Multiple rounds of significant storms into the night down here near Norman, the OKC Metro, especially down here in Texas, where that risk is. Now, our hail risk is going to be what's driving this enhanced risk right here with this 30% SIG 2 risk. So we could see hailstones up to DVD-sized hail. That would be the max for today. And this is going to be some of the biggest hail we're going to see this year. It's going to be gorilla hail, big time, 3-inch apple-sized hail will be expected, not just the max, expected. So that's going to be the main threat. And that goes all the way down into Texas, up into Kansas City again. And then obviously our second bullseye, we'll talk about that in a minute. And then our wind threat is our normal 30% SIG 1 here. So not really normal, but a decent damaging wind threat overnight tonight, especially in the Wichita area, Bartlesville, Oklahoma City, the northern portions. So Texas will have less of a wind threat, but that hatched area shows where that significant wind could be. Looking back up north, we have a 10% SIG 2 risk. So if you've watched the channel before, the last time we had a SIG 2 risk was Kankakee, and that was a EF3 tornado that did a lot of damage there. This is going to be expected again. EF3 tornadoes are going to be expected again today as our max intensity here. And it does include Rockford, Milwaukee, Cedar Rapids, northern portions of Davenport, Richland City, and the normal SIG 1 10%. The less significant but still significant storms includes Chicago, Fort Wayne, Kalamazoo, Detroit, Mason City, Oshkosh, Galesburg, Bloomington, a ton of areas. Now, all these areas in this stippled hatch region could see a significant tornado today. Everybody in the 5% right here, this brown, and the 10% have higher probabilities of seeing a significant tornado today. And especially right here in the kind of Midwest, the Chicago area, Milwaukee, the Wisconsin area, this is going to be where we're going to see possibly significant tornadoes today. So if you are in this area, you need to stay alert, have a way to receive warnings as this tornado threat moves through. But like I said before, the tornado threat is not really what's driving today. It is, but the other threat that we have today is the same thing that we've talked about for Oklahoma City in that area, the gorilla-sized hail today. Milwaukee is going to see Milwaukee, Rockford, the same areas that were in that SIG 2 10% for tornadoes are seeing this gorilla hail. That's where we expect big supercells to move through, producing big-time hail and large tornadoes over the day. So not just a tornado threat, but like we talked about, this whole hatching area all the way down from Del Rio up to almost Detroit will see significant hail above 2 inches today, possibly. And everybody in these double hatches, these SIG 2s, could see up to 4-inch sized hail today. So that's going to be really where that threat is going to be maximized there near Milwaukee, Richland Center, Cedar Rapids. So we look at our wind threat here again. It shifts east a little bit. Detroit, you're in that 30% SIG 1. And Milwaukee's still there. Rockford, Chicago, you're in that. Cedar Rapids all the way over here, West Union. That's going to be where that hatch risk for 75 plus is going to be. And that's where that main risk for damaging winds as the supercells congeal into a line over the night. Finally, talking about New York, we have a little isolated significant tornado threat today. So it's going to be very low, but a little bit of a significant tornado threat near New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, these areas. Not really that much to see here. It could be a low end severe threat, low end risk for wind and hail today, but that's really it. Now, I'm recording this video at about 3 p.m. Central Time, a little later than I should, but we have got some storms ongoing right now in New York, that severe thunderstorm watch right now. A kind of a line kind of extending down into PA, Pennsylvania, right here, Ohio, West Virginia. These are going to have an isolated severe threat today. Nothing going to be insane over here like we talked about in the outlooks. A marginal and slight risk does exist, the isolated chance for a tornado over here, but nothing really to write home about here. Just some isolated severe thunderstorms. Now, as we shift east, here we already have a tornado watch that just got issued as I'm recording this. This says a pretty high chance for some tornadoes here, and Illinois is being monitored right here in this red circle. You can see severe potential. This has a 40% chance of becoming a watch in the next couple of hours. They're watching this as these storms kind of develop and see if they grow upscale over the day, but this has already formed here. We'll take a look at the radar here. We can see that there's kind of a hook-like appendage. This may be producing a tornado, maybe going long track by the time that this video comes out. So everybody ahead of this or near this needs to stay tuned to your local weather center station, whatever you use to see and get warnings. Make sure you're watching this and these storms that are going to pop up over the day today. We also have Oklahoma starting to get some storm development here in Texas and Oklahoma. Some storms going in from Mexico into the border, some large hail, as you can see, high reflectivity returns. And we're going to see this Oklahoma threat develop up. As you can see, peak hail size, baseball to 4-inch sized hail, grapefruit sized hail. Like this is going to be softball, grapefruit sized hail in the Oklahoma area today. We're going to have to be watching that. But that is really what is going on right now. Now, looking at our surface analysis right now from about 3 p.m. Central, 19C, we have our kind of broad low pressure system right here. We have our warm front, which is what is firing these first cells out here. This will continue to lift on during the day. It kind of looks more like that. And that's going to be where our storm is firing off of right now. It's going to continue. This is going to probably be a long tracker that goes through northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, Iowa today. That's going to be cause big time problems. We have our kind of cold, not really cold front. I'd say, yeah, it's a dry line, kind of. The northern portion is a cold front. That's a dry line right there. That's going to be causing our storms in Oklahoma to be going, I think that's a little bit more west. There we go. So that's going to be our kind of surface fronts and boundaries today. And taking a look at our surface-based cape, let's go ahead and take a look at where that maximum is. So as you can see, our low was situated right about here. I'll kind of draw our dry line back right there on our cape, and then our warm front is chilling right there. So our maximum where our cape is, you can see two kind of maximums. Our 4,500s right here, and our 4,000s, 3,000s, 4,000s right there. So that's going to be both of our risk areas today. And I'm just going to continue to show here. Let's see. Take a look at our STP, significant tornado parameter effective. So this is going to be kind of our, combines all of our products into one for a tornado parameter, and it is rapidly increasing. All we need is a 1 to get tornadoes, and we are already getting 2s and 3s, and this will continue to increase over the night as the kind of low-level shear gets in, especially down here in Oklahoma. That's where that is going to be increasing a lot over the night tonight, and where we could see a shift from hail to tornadoes there. Now we're looking at our surface vorticity in our 3 cape. So our lower level cape in the lowest 3 kilometers of the atmosphere. As you can see, our blue contours are going to be our vorticity. So this vorticity means basically the spin at the surface. You see that overlap with the high-low level cape right here in our surface-based vorticity. This is going to be where our maximum is, and that is right on that storm. That's why we need to watch that over the day today as that storm moves into this prime environment for tornadoes. So that's going to be one to watch. Notice that we also have a bullseye down here. The vorticity will increase over the night, but we still have some vorticity there. But a large 3 cape bullseye down there in the Oklahoma's risk for today, and you can just see a ton of that 3K. We need 50 for a tornado and a good threat. So we have in the hundreds, 150s. So it's looking pretty favorable for a tornado today. So first, I want to take a look at some model data. I must note that this is the 16Z HRRR. So HRRR from 3 hours ago, that model from 3 hours ago. Now, note this. In this run, our main convection, our stuff that was building out there that is already kind of showery that we looked at from our current event, or what's currently going on, builds into some semi-discrete cells and then dies off. But this model run has some new cells developing in Illinois and moving up and kind of developing right there. Now that's Chicago. That's a big time cell developing in Chicago, and these are discrete supercells that would be producing big time stuff. Now notice we also have our normal kind of set in stone concrete cells that are developing out there right now that you saw on radar, and they will likely congeal into a line and hit Chicago tonight into these areas. Now, when I take a look at the newest one, the 19Z, which is right now the newest run, there is no prefrontal cells anymore, no discrete cells developing out here. It tries to do something here with this cell, but it has completely dropped it. Now, if we even go back to our 14Z run before the 16Z, it was an agreement that we had prefrontals. Everything was in agreement up until 17Z, right after the 16, where it just didn't have anything. So the reason I want to kind of emphasize this is because the Warren on forecast models we talked about yesterday are running. And these models actually did pretty good depicting what happened at Kansas last night. So what this model shows is exactly what the first HRRR model showed, the 16Z, a ton of prefrontal cells. And this is the newest one from 19Z right now. And this goes out pretty far. A lot of the members agree that we're going to see some cells today out in front of in the Illinois area, out in front of the line that's going to be developing on the warm front. So I want to emphasize that I think that there are going to be some supercells out in front of the line today that will be posing a significant tornado threat in northern Illinois. I do think that is what's going to happen, but we are monitoring that. For like last video, I said there was not going to be any convection in Kansas, and I was wrong. But in this video, I want to give a grain of salt to this because this is a sudden model change. There's a lot of things that are happening in this. There's like a lot of changes that are happening to models, downtrends that are going on in runs like these. So we want to keep an emphasis on a kind of like a consensus. So like I said, we want to kind of keep a average of what's going on. And I think that we will see some prefrontals, but it's not out of the picture, and it's better if we don't see any, because that would pose a less strong threat for significant tornadoes for Chicago and a lot of the populated areas in northern Illinois. So I'm hoping that this model change is right, but I am thinking since all the models are agreeing that there was this and that was going to happen, now the most reliable one, is not showing that. I feel like it's kind of an outlier situation here with the HRRR. Now we're taking a look at the STP, significant tornado parameter, basically what we looked at in the surface observations that we saw earlier, the meso analysis. And as you can see, we're going to get a big increase, and this corridor right here near Chicago and into the southern Wisconsin area, this is going to be where values are going to be up in the 7s, 8s, 9s, right next to storms. And this is when we're going to see a big time threat over the night tonight, and that even shifts into Michigan overnight, into Kansas, into Missouri, Iowa again. We have a big long time threat overnight for some big time tornadoes, and this is going to be a pretty big situation here. Almost what we saw yesterday, and yesterday was pretty bad. We saw a few tornadoes yesterday. I do think today will be worse than yesterday, and it's really over the same area as yesterday. Looking down south to our Oklahoma sector, let's take a look at our reflectivity here instead of our significant tornado parameter. As you can see right now, that storm is forming right there. There's going to be that first kind of round right there. I think that's where we're going to see a significant tornado threat come into play with some multicellular, kind of supercellular-like activity. And then into the night, notice we have another supercell right there and another kind of round coming in after that. Now we take a look at our significant tornado parameter, and we see that it never really goes away. Our first round eats some of it up, gets in a very real rich environment. We'll take a sounding right here. Take a look at what we see here. Nice low level curvature, a lot of fat cape profile, non-capped environment. We're looking at 240 SRH, storm relative felicity, our wind shear. Nice wind changing with height. We're looking at a great profile here. Now, once those storms that I'm talking about, this is going to be about 9 p.m. move through, we're going to see that another kind of wave come through, another recharge. That's what's been happening here in OKC, this area. It has just been recharging. Those storms develop, that supercell right there, and more storms develop, and our STP is still decent enough for some storms. So our Cape and STP is not going to give up here near OKC. It really just, we need to watch this. It looks like an all-night threat for large hail and damaging winds, as well as that tornado threat, especially increasing going into the night. I think the main corridor would be 7 to 10 p.m. is when that's going to be for tornadoes, especially significant ones, and a threat for large hail really increasing in the day here today and then decreasing by nightfall as that Cape decreases. Let's take a look at our worn-on forecast model that we looked at earlier for the Midwest down here into Oklahoma and our southern risk. So it shows here about 2030 Z, which would be about now. Storms firing right here, or actually that'd be in like an hour. So about 20 Z right here. It'll be about 4 p.m. here, Central Time here. We're looking at this. Some cells grow upscale here. This one only goes out till 1Z, which is going to be not 9 p.m. That'd be about 8 p.m. So it's not going to encapsulate what we're experiencing here. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other members. You can see some cellular development, some linear development, it seems. The storm mode is going to be kind of a mixed bag here. Let's pick where that one with the line was. Here it is, number 7. So it kind of all congeals into a line by, the PM time frame. By the time it gets into 7 p.m., 8 p.m., the nighttime time frame is sunsets. Now, obviously, those storms going in from North Texas are going to come in and get into the area again overnight tonight. We're just going to have to watch that for an overnight threat for significant severe weather. Now, taking a look at our STP on here, we can take a look at this, and it's going to increase over the night tonight, especially during the evening. The evening is when that low-level jet comes in, and that STP and the low-level shear will continue to increase, and it's not going to stop increasing. Well, it's not going to stop kind of recharging, I might say, as we saw on the HRRR. So everywhere in these areas, these main areas from Oklahoma from Oklahoma, they just issued that tornado watch right there, all the way up to Iowa. You guys need to really be watching this, especially if you guys are in Milwaukee, Rockford, Madison. This whole tornado watch, you guys need to be really weather aware, especially you guys down here in Chicago as well. I know you guys are not in a watch yet, but you guys need to be aware down here as well for that threat, for that prefrontal kind of action in that line later tonight. And obviously this whole area that we have in these risks today. So all the yellow, if you're in the yellow, if you're even in the green, yellows, especially the oranges, you guys need to be weather aware today, have a way of receiving warnings. And thank you guys for watching. That's going to wrap it up for this video. Goodbye.